So welcome to my channel. So in my last video, what I actually did was I did an experiment where I crawled a lot of freelance website, and I was able to see kind of like the AI agents that businesses want build for them. And within this, I had to group them into 10 categories. As you could see here, each of the categories comprises of 10 agents that can be built. And within this 10th agent, in category one, you could see one. The very first one here is a personal assistant and chief of staff. So, what will this personal assistant be able to do? It will own your inbox, calendar, and take decision. So, this is exactly what I have built, and I'm going to be showing you in this tutorial. So this is the agent that was being built. For example, if I ask the agent now, what can you do? The agent is going to tell us exactly what it's capable of doing. So you see here, so he said daily operation, it manages my inbox, calendar, morning brief. So it has memory. It does a lot of files and documentation, like it could create PDF docs. It does research, scheduling and automation, judgment and the rest. And you could see here that it's quite connected to my email, because if I ask it, what email I read today, it's going to tell me exactly the emails that I received today. So you could see it's actually behind the scene using a skill called Himalaya. So Himalaya is actually a skill that comes with Gwenpa. So if you check skills here, you could see here there's this particular skill called Himalaya. So let's check, look at it here. And when you open the content of it, it's a CLI to manage email via IMAP as an SM. Use Himalaya to list, read, write, reply, and forward, search, organize email from the terminal. So irrespective of the agent you're using, whether you're using Gwempa, you're using Hermes, you could provide this. It also shows you exactly how you could do the configuration in order to be able to use Himalaya. So this is the part that is very important, because with this, you'll be able to configure Himalaya to work appropriately. So I'm going to come into all these stuffs later. So you could also preview it here to actually more authentic. So this is how it's able to. So when we come back here, kind of like trying to list exactly, say you received 10 emails today. So you could see here, it's telling me August 14, Woso time. Here's the breakdown of the emails that I received, most from one from Magnus team, one from Dev, Post, Hesna, Alibaba Cloud. So, and you see others here. So I could also tell it, what do I have on my calendar? What it's going to tell us right away. So you see, it's also going to be listing the stuffs that we have in our calendar. Actually, here is actually using an MCP server. So we're going to come to that. Here we have Prayed, Grow SSS, Agentic Data Engineering, and Football. And if I come to my calendar also, you could see that these are actually the items I have here. And this open up a whole possibility for a lot of. So let's see why this is even possible. So first of all, I've shown you Himalaya. So I've been able to show you Himalaya, and with Himalaya, you've been able to see how you could be able to use the CLI to be able to read your mails. So the next thing here is, if I open my files, the files that the agent created, and come to my memory, here that the setup here is actually made of Himalaya, which is in charge of reading my mails and a whole lot of other things that involve my mail, and also the calendar, which is using the Google Calendar MCP server, which I will also show you how. So the last component of it is the cron job. So the cron job that actually give me a morning brief of, for example, mails that actually need attention. When I don't have a mail that need urgent attention, I don't need a morning brief. But when I need a mail that need an urgent attention, I need a morning brief. So you could actually search. You could actually know when you have subscriptions to pay, and when you, so that you don't actually maybe get charged when. So you have this whole layer of intelligence on top of your email, and which is exactly what the chief of staff agent does. So let's see in a moment now how to create this kind of. So here we are going to be seeing the 8 steps that are involved in creating this chief of staff. So follow my channel, because I'm going to be building a whole lot of stuffs. So I'm actually an agent guy. So I'm very, very much involved in building agent. Voice agent that I build, you could actually make calls with it. I have like so many other stuffs I built. Like this one you seen here is my lead AI lead intelligence platform called LeadPy. There are a whole lot of things that I do. I love building agents for fun. And if you love this kind of thing, this is the channel you should follow. So subscribe and keep in touch. So So you see here we have this briefing here. So let's go back to where we were. So now you so these are the 8 steps that you can use exactly this kind of agent. So let's go with step number one. You create the agent and turn on all skills. So irrespective of whether you're using MS, Gwempa or OpenClaw or whatever one. So all you need to do is create the agent and turn up the necessary skills. So that's what the second step is. You're going to an identity and check the file. We're going to go ahead and do this first two, and then we're going to connect email. So the agent can actually help connect your email. You can drop in your email password, and then you can add your calendar MCP server. You can teach it to write in your voice in case you want to respond to email. And then you can ask it to schedule your morning, take it, and you are live. So these are just the 8 steps you follow. So most of you, by just reaching here, you already know exactly what you should do to get this chief of staff up and running. So you already know what you should do to get it up and running. So now we're going to be looking at the step one after the other. So the first step is to create your agent. So I'm even going to copy. So we're going to go ahead to create the agent. So in order to create the agent, I'm going to go back to Wampa. So the console here. So here, Gwenpa has this thing here called agent management. So within here, we're just going to open, and then we're going to click on create agent. So here, we're just going to give the agent a name. So let's say manager. So we're just going to manager. So and then here we're just going to choose all the building skills. So skills are just like recipes that help us accomplish a task. So here we could choose a model also for the agent. So in this case, I will just go with the ZAI plan and choose this. So it could be any model. So and then we see. So now you could see that we've done this first part. So we need to choose the model as well, which is manager. So if we go back here, so you see we have created the agent. So we went to agent management and we created the agent and we name it chief of staff. I just decided to name it manager. And then we selected all the building skills. We didn't actually paste a description. This is optional. You could do it if you want or not. So let's go to the second step, which is to set the agent identity. So I'm going to show you how this works in a moment. So when you create a new agent, you start the journey. So when you start the journey, you're going to find out that you're going to see the setup instruction that the agent is going to give to you. So let's see in a moment. So you see here, it say Eric. So I just provided Eric Live Manager. You're intelligent. Then he said, I sit on top of your inbox calendar, and every day you get a smart brief. So here is also kind of like trying to edit my files, which will enable every run to be grounded with those files. So let's just see. So here you see it says set up me, Alfred, your chief of staff, email layer plus calendar layer plus daily brief. Gmail connected via Himalaya. Read, set, send, all working. Calendar, macOS calendar connected. All calendar readable, including PLHU holidays. Identity. So you see, so it's already done a lot out of the box. So you see, so now let's go back to the slide. So you see, we've been able to set the identity of the model, so we could actually view it here in the file. So you could see when you come to like memory, you could see what is actually happening here behind the scenes. So you have Himalaya here. So you see, and it's trying to tell you where the configuration is, an account. So it's kind of saying the default Gmail account is this, and calendar here is saying Mac OS. So you see, no CLI tool, no working snippet, and daily brief is going to be using cron. So it's kind of like basically gotten everything right here. So the next thing we need to do, so we're just going to be following this. So we have seed the agent. So seed is identity mean telling the agent exactly what it's going to be doing. So the next thing is to connect Himalaya. So basically what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to say I want to set up Himalaya. So all you need to do is just do this. So if you do this, it will definitely read that skill. So it's going to come and read the skill and it will set it up. So I already have it set up. I already have the configuration file. So you see, good news. Himalaya setup is working on this machine. I verified. So you see, so it's already working. If it wasn't working, it's going to gradually ask you to, for example, provide this next step that we're going to be talking about. You drop in your app password. So you're going to look for what they call an application password on your Gmail setting, and you're going to be providing it to Himalaya. So that's what you will do. But for now, you see, is already wired in. So that's why you see my settings is already there, and that means I will be able to use my mail. If I didn't have it set up, I will definitely be asking it. It will ask me for my password, and then it's going to set up this configuration file you see here. So exactly like this. So it's going to use this. So let's see. So it's going to create this file in this location in your home directory, and it's going to replace here with your email. So it's going to ask you a bunch of settings, and it's going to test it by sending an email to you. So this is how it works. So the next thing we need to do, so now we've done our email setting. The next thing we need to do is to add the Google Calendar MCP. So I'm just going to also paste here. But this require uh, a lot of things to get right out of the box, because so first of all, I'm just gonna paste this here. So before I tell it to configure it, there's a way you can also configure it without doing this. So you could take the whole of this. So let's just take this, and then you could come to MCP, and then you could create a client, and in this format, this is how it should look like. So you see that that one looks almost identical like this. So you see, so the only thing you need to provide is this secret, which is kind of like your Google OAuth credentials. I'm going to be showing you how you get this. So the way you get this is that you just need to come to Google. So I'm in Google. So this is what they call the OAuth. So before you even, let me duplicate this page so that I can show you. So when you come to Google Cloud, you select a project. If you don't have a project, you have to create a project. So you select a project. Let's say this project. I'm just giving you an example. And then the next thing you need to do, you need to search for Google, or just start typing for calendar. So immediately you start typing for calendar, you're going to see Google Calendar API. So you need to enable this. So you need to enable this. When you enable this, the next thing you need to look for under this project, you could also search for the auth settings. So you need to search for like OAuth. So you need to say so here you see Google Auth platform, and then here you need to come to client. So it's going to open, you need to come to clients, and then here you're going to be creating a client. So your client you're going to be creating will be of type desktop application, and then you're going to give it a name. Let's say calendar app, just an example, and then you're going to keep create. So when you create this, so you're going to download this JSON. This JSON you're seeing here is what you're going to download. So you download it and put it in a specific location on your system. So this is what will enable you have access to Gmail. So look at it here. I don't really need it, so I'm just going to delete it for this example. So then when we come back to Gwempa, you're going to be providing that location where that JSON file you downloaded, irrespective of where you put it in your system, you're going to be providing it here. So when you provide it here, automatically you will have connection to your Gmail channel. So for me, I already have it configured for one of my agents, which I'm actually using, the chief of staff. So it's actually configured here. So because of that, you could see here when I come to my MCP, you could see that it's already here. So when I click on tools, you could see these are the tools. This is why it's able to search for events on my calendar, because the Google Calendar MCP server is set up. So for now, all I need to do, I've shown you how to set it up to get the JSON file that is required. So for now, all I need to do is I could just tell manager here. So you could tell the manager agent here. So you could say, so I could tell the manager agent here. So I could just say manager, and I could tell it to make use of use the calendar MCP in the agent chief of staff. So basically, what it's going to do, this alone is going. What it's going to do is that it's going to make sure that the same API that is being used in the chief of staff agent will be available for you to use under this agent. So we're just going to go to the slide and come back. I think it should be done. So you see, or you just copy this and manually configure it. So this is all you need to do. Then this is an optional step. So you could teach your agent your voice. So you could copy emails that you've actually sent in the past, and this will enable your agent to be able to send messages using your style, your voice. So this is So the last part is actually setting up a cron. So a cron is actually something that you can schedule or something that will be reoccurring. So it's very easy. If you don't want to actually do it using the CL, there are about three ways you could do it. You could chat it to actually create the cron, or you could use the CLI command here to create the cron on your system, or you could, it has templates within Gwempa on how to create that. So let's check. You see, so actually trying to set up the MCP server, but let's go to cron. So you will see here that when you come to create a cron, there are templates that you can already create. So you could use a template depending on whether you want to create recurring or scheduled cron. So you could choose any of them here and just use the template and modify. But I found it very easy for me to just, okay, look at what has happened. So now it's trying to set that MCP server. It's still looking for the, so it had to look for the credentials. Uh, so it's looking for the credentials and it will set up that MCP server. So you see, we need to give it some more time. But because I don't want to wait, so what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to open a new tab while that tab. So everything you're kind of like creating is going to be here. So I'm creating a new chat tab. And then here, I'm just going to tell it, create a cron for daily briefs about my emails 7 a.m. in the morning. So then here I'm just gonna, so briefs, so I'm just gonna send this. So you see, so this is, so most of the times if you want to do something just like every other agent, like MS agent, all you need to do is just create the very so ask via chat for it to actually do that action instead of running a CLI command. So behind the scene, it's actually going to run that CLI command for you to actually create. You see, so look at what it's actually doing. So you see that it's reasoning upon the CLI on how to create a cron job. So and it's actually going to execute that cron for you using the CLI command instead of you doing it yourself. So when we come back here, also we kind of see that I'm still waiting for this to actually set up the MCP server for us. So it's kind of taking some time, but this is what you get when you kind of like do it via chat instead of so it's kind of easier if you just come here and create the MCP server yourself. So now what I'm going to be doing here, so let's see. So we'll see here what's happening. Let's refresh. So I'm just going to give it some time. So we can now see that the calendar MCP is wired and verified. So we could check it here when we come to MCP. And then when we click here, you could see that it's been installed. So this is how you could go about like just chatting to install some stuffs without really, and Gwenpa allows you to kind of like verify if those things are installed. So this is it. So now you could also see that for this, you see here that the cron has also been created. So if we come to cron or cron jobs, so you could see that there is a daily email brief here that has been created. Now let's go back here and see. So you could see here that we have scheduled the morning brief by just chatting with the agent. So now we could check uh, it. So we could check to see if everything is working. And then let's just open a new chat here. And then here I'm just going to ask what's on my calendar. Let's see. Or how many mails were sent to me today. So we're going to see that the Himalaya is going to start working. That CLI is going to communicate with our mail client, and we're going to see the number of mails that were sent today. You can see here that it's already kind of like reasoning, and you could see the list of emails that were sent today. And you see 12 emails so far. So you see these are all the emails that I've received today. There are about 12 so far. And you see, with our cron, we could be able to get intelligence over this email. We could be able to filter emails. We could even be able to use this CLI to also respond to emails. So this is your chief of staff. So if you like this kind of content, subscribe to my channel and I will keep them coming.